This is the part where you fall down and bleed to death!
Hey YouTube, like many of you, I'm excited to play Oblivion Remastered. However, when I start seeing comments like this, I start to panic slightly on the inside and say to myself, oh no, did I mess up? So let's see what an RTX 3060 with 12 gigabytes of VRAM can do. So starting at low settings with anti-aliasing set to TSR, and all upscaling turned off, we run from a low 70 FPS, with lows hitting all the way down to 5 FPS at one point, but sitting at a comfortable 50 for our average for this run. I do want to make note that I personally am not impressed with how short the draw distance is on this, but for some of you, this might be completely fine. Next up, if we go ahead and set our hardware to auto detect, it's gonna actually switch all of our quality to medium. And I'm gonna talk about this here a little bit later for what I'm personally gonna do. But we'll be set to medium, ray tracing will be set to low, and the game will also set our anti-aliasing to TSR, and actually turn DLSS on with the mode set to balanced. At this point, I do want to say that the game immediately looks what I would consider to be 100% better. And as a 1080p gamer and streamer, most likely I'll plan to stick with this setting with a few tweaks that I'll show off here in a moment. As this run goes on, we can see right off the bat the 1% lows do hit 17 FPS. However, I didn't actually feel that big of a difference or notice as I ran through this, and I even hit 116 FPS, as noted in Present Mon. However, the overall FPS still continued to sit at more than 60 plus, with the 1% lows hitting the upper 20s, not something that I personally could notice. This next run, I'm going to crank everything to Ultra, and right off the bat, our game and frame begin to tank. As you may not be able to tell here in the game capture, but everything looks over-texturized, and our FPS immediately begins to drop. Our 1% lows drop down to about 12 FPS relatively quickly, and our FPS, if we are lucky, sits around 31 to 35. And somehow, by the grace of the Nine Divine, we even hit 42 FPS right over here by the bridge at some point. With it being set this high, I would say it's kind of playable, but it looks really kind of gross, and probably not a overall enjoyable experience. So how I actually plan to stream, potentially, and play this going forward, just for me, myself, and I'm actually going to turn hardware ray tracing on and set it to Ultra. And all my other settings, quality, texture, reflections, etc., will be set to medium. While doing this, we do immediately drop down to 9 FPS on the 1% lows at one point. However, my FPS sits comfortably at low to mid 50s for my average. So adding the ray tracing and setting that to Ultra doesn't really seem to affect what's happening here in this part of the game. So after farting around and making this part of the YouTube video, I went back and just started playing the game for myself, exploring, fighting, running, jumping, without really paying attention to any FPS counter that I wouldn't normally have open while I game. I typically have the Steam FPS counter up in the left-hand corner just to kind of get an idea of what's going on. And honestly, I think this game is pretty solid. Now I can go relive all my sweet memories that my Xbox 360 left me back in the day. I do want to make a side note that perhaps some of these people really do have a problem with the game. I maybe am just blessed and haven't seen the issues that some of these individuals are talking about. I don't doubt that they do have an issue or some issue. A lot of the tech YouTube channels that I've noticed have been talking about not updating your NVIDIA drivers because they're trying to fix whatever's going on the RTX 5000 series, and somehow that's breaking the older series of GPUs, all the way back to the 30 series. So maybe some of these people have updated their drivers and just don't know, or have a bad NVIDIA driver. I don't have a newer AMD GPU that I can try to play and see if this breaks for me, like one person commented. And I even saw someone saying that, hey, dude, you have a hard drive, not an SSD, so yes, your game is going to break. So I do think that this game is going to be awesome. I'm going to be able to relive all the moments that I had when I was a teenager, hopefully, and show this game off to my daughter and maybe get my wife to play it. So, don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube and check me out on Twitch most Friday and Saturday evenings at twitch.tv/NickTheFistLive. See you there.